Hello everyone and welcome back and welcome to another Isaac and Friends video. Today I wanted to talk about one of my favorite gods and goddess, or specifically goddess in the Egyptian pantheon. One who is very little need of introduction, the great lady Isis, otherwise known as Aset. She is literally referred to as the goddess of 10,000 names and is very much a very potent and very popular deity in the Egyptian pantheon. Sorry if I'm getting a little loud here. But she is quite literally associated with multiple myths. The most commonly known myth about Isis is, of course, her story in regards to her husband Osiris, and of course the birth of Horus. But there are actually other stories that involve this very lovely lady, this very beautiful and kind deity. As I'm sitting here and talking about her, as I have her on my desk right now. One of which, of course, is the story of how when she was trying to run away and hide from Set when Horus was still growing up, she disguised herself as a poor woman and attempted to hide in a wealthy woman's house. The wealthy woman, of course, seeing her not as the goddess Isis, but a poor woman, decided to kick her out of her home, essentially. And so Isis found shelter in, of course, a poor woman's home. Now, at the time, she had 7 scorpions that were kind of acting as her bodyguards who did not take kindly to that. So they all ganged together and stung the woman's child, or the rich woman's child. Hearing about this, the goddess Isis decides to go forth to the wealthy woman's home, rebukes the scorpions, and heals the child, bringing him back to life. The mother, of course, is thankful for this and starts pouring gifts onto Isis and onto the poor woman that Isis shares with her the wealth of that bounty. If anything, what we see from this mythology is a goddess who is very kind and very gentle, and despite being basically thrown out at the door by a very powerful and wealthy person, she still showed kindness and even rebuking the agents that had done harm on her behalf. Another interesting tale, actually, about Isis and why she's considered the most powerful of the ancient Kemetic goddesses is the story of her actually obtaining Ra's true name. Now, in ancient Egyptian mythology and Heka, aka magic, true names of things is a very powerful thing. If you know something's true name, you can control it. You can wield power over it. You can use spells upon it as well. No one at the time of this mythology knew who Ra's true name was. He was known as Ra, Atum, and hang on. Haha, I have this handy dandy little book. But he had 3 different names, but none of them were ever his true name. When Ra became old and started to drool a little bit, Isis took some of the dribble and created a snake. This snake was created in such a fashion that anyone bitten by it would surely die. Well, lo and behold, she directly put it into Ra's path, and of course he was struck by the serpent. Now, Ra himself, of course, didn't die. He went into excruciating pain, and none of the other gods could figure out how to heal him. So Isis, of course, stepped forward and offered to heal Ra, but explained to him that she would need his true name in order to do so. So Ra, being in blinding ass pain and incapable and feeling what is essentially his life ebbing away, decides to agree to Isis's terms And Isis and him basically sequester themselves, and she learns his true name, and thereby heals him from the poison. This, by the way, shows a little trickery on Isis's part, and the fact that she is actually a very cunning goddess and a very wise goddess. She never really would have put Ra's life exactly in jeopardy, but it is an interesting point that she is certainly regarded as one of the greatest healers simply because of that incident. And little thing that people don't realize is that the worship of Aset, the worship of Isis, was in ancient times extremely popular. It was massively popular in the ancient world, especially in the Roman periods. In fact, cults to Isis not only left Egypt, but went as far north as England. There are in fact temples to Aset or Isis all the way up into Roman-conquered England. So she was actually a very popular deity. And she remained so until the Christians took over the Roman Empire, at which point the now Christian Romans took this opportunity to basically eradicate one of the major temples to Isis and basically just threw everyone out, even drove them out and by the blade, essentially. But even so, people still worship our very beloved lady here. And there are some, of course, that would draw parallels between her and Mary, i.e. the Virgin Mary. I say virgin in quotation marks because if you actually read the Bible, it's very clear that Mary not only had several other kids after Jesus, including him having siblings, such as brothers and sisters, both before and after Joseph by her second marriage. But Isis conceived Horus through pure magic, and by the revival of her husband. It's actually why she's referred to as the goddess of rebirth. But she is also referred to, again, as the goddess of abundance, and she has a lot of different names, but like I said, she's more specifically known by her tale with Horus, and of course his battle with Set. So, this particular goddess is pretty interesting, actually, and in fact, Isis herself is arguably one of the oldest deities to be worshipped in ancient Egypt. In fact, older than perhaps even her husband Osiris. So, this beloved goddess is something that if you're interested in, I definitely would recommend that you take a look at her and kind of go into depth into seeing who she is. Personally, I do have several different gods. I have Bastet, Sekhmet, Ra-Ori. I have Thoth, Renenet, Hathor, Heru, Osiris, Anubis, and his wife Input on my altar next to me over by the side of my desk. So, if you guys want to see or hear videos about them as well, I'd be happy to give you that. I have been reading books like this pretty much all my life. Egyptology has always been something of an interest, so it's kind of actually became a natural course to me becoming a Kemetic heathen, essentially, after I left Christianity and the Jehovah's Witnesses. So I hope that you enjoyed this brief video about the good goddess, and I hope you enjoyed joining me for a second to sit and chat. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Stay safe.